How's everybody doing? All right, day one of tag. Well, when they asked me if I wanted to have a fireside chat with Corrina Carter, I said, say less. Very excited.
Can I get on the stool?
I know, I decided to just kind of like do a little lean.
Okay.
We're gonna be talking today about coaching your people, because Corrina and I have both built businesses over the years, and we have had to transition from being the one that wears all the hats to understanding the things that we are not the strongest at. And if anybody was at some of the summits yesterday, it's a theme. Understanding what you're not best at and not trying to become the best at everything, but rather surrounding yourself with the people that are good at the things that you're not. And the only way to do that is to teach them. There are managers who point fingers and give directions, and then there are leaders who coach their people, invest in their success, and listen. And Corrina is definitely one of those leaders. And so I thought we would just chat a little bit today about our experiences and why we both believe that investing in our people is the most important ingredient to our success.
Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate it. One of the things me and Jamie were talking about is knowing your people and knowing what they're going to do before they do it.
Yep.
So really understanding how you're going to lean in, but can you get them to lean into you?
Yep.
And so surrounding ourselves with experts, that I don't have to do what Dora's doing. I don't have to do what Deshaun's doing. I don't have to do what Mo's doing, because I trust in them that they're going to do it. And our paths may cross some in the day and they may be similar, but they're not exactly the job that they're doing. And so what we talk about a lot at our company is how we wrote out our roles, our policies, and what we do to make sure that people have the strength and understand what they're going to be doing on a daily basis to help with leadership, including in their role.
Yep. So you didn't always have Mo and Deshaun.
I did not.
Right? So let's talk about that moment when you realize that it's time to grow. You can't do it alone, but in order to get there, you have to let go of a little bit of control. Where do you even start?
College tuition, groceries, mortgage, no.
That's
But
it.
when you're responsible for 4 generations, you figure out how are you going to dive in. I think the hardest part, I think if I could share anything today with everybody, is we're leaning out in the mortgage industry. This is the best time to be you. And we are leaning out so good that who's left in the next 18 to 36 months are going to really be treated like doctors, lawyers, and specialists in their field. And I think that's what we were in like 2000.
Yep.
And then everybody got in 2006, then everybody got out in 2009. So now a lot of people who are left, you have to really coach them through what's needed.
Yep.
And what your position is there to do. And if you don't know what your position is to do within yourself, then how can you coach somebody else through how to do that? So I think really is understanding your tribe too, what they're there for, why they're there, how they're there. A lot of people right now are a little bit too busy in their mind and maybe not so much on their calendar. So stating what is going on with their life. Can they manage their email box? Can they manage their life? Can they do this? So when you're talking to people and you're interviewing people, you really have to dive into almost more of their personal journey as much as their business journey, so you can get to know them and understand where they're coming from. Because in where we are right now and who's going to be left in the lean thin out are going to be the experts who are going to really make a lot of money.
Absolutely. I know for me, when I started hiring for character instead of experience or in addition to experience, it made a huge difference, because the bottom line is you can teach anyone how to do loans. Not easy, but you could do it. But you can't teach someone discipline. You can't teach someone time management. And you can't teach someone to care as deeply about the people we serve as you do. And nobody will ever care as much about your business as you do. However, we're both very fortunate to have some pretty incredible leaders on our teams that care a whole lot. And it's half of the battle, quite honestly. I was remembering, I'm just gonna be honest with you, I was a really young leader. I was 23 years old. I was a COO at a company that I scaled to a nationwide wholesale and retail lender back before the crash. And I was a terrible, terrible, terrible leader. I was reactive. I did not coach or teach anyone. I was so consumed with where I was going and was I doing it right that I didn't even think about the people who were helping us get where we were going. And it was an incredible journey. But I'll tell you something, having to stand in front of 80 people that had grown their careers with me, single mothers whose livelihoods depended on the job, and say, we're closing our doors, humbled me to a place that I have never, ever forgotten. And it was the greatest gift I could have ever received, because that was the period of time in my life where I actually became a leader. And when I came back into a leadership role, everything looked a lot different. Corrina, how do you stay in touch with your team and your people to make sure that you're paying attention to what their journey looks like and what their goals are?
I think the biggest thing right now, Jaime, is feeling and having people feel like they're not being coached. Having them feel like they're not having one-on-ones with you. Having them feel like you're not touching them. So in our community, we call it more of massaging, because we want to learn you, we want to understand you, we want to feel what you're feeling. We want to also get to know where you're coming from. So I use kind of like more of the philosophy of, can we just have this conversation? Where are you today? What are you doing? And not, hey, we need to catch up. We need to do a one-on-one. Hey, we need to do this month. It's more or less, how do you stay front and center without them knowing you're front and center? Mm-hmm. And that is an extremely hard leadership skill to do, because that leads you to knowing what their next step is before they know what their next step is. And so then if you can do that, you can teach them a little bit more about what they're missing, what they're not missing. But the hard part with that is we know, and we've talked about it, me and you talk about it all the time, is just because we feel like that could be good for someone, it doesn't mean that they're going to lean in and use all their resources. So how do you show them your resources? How do you show them your value? But how do you also give them value? Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing, because you also have to give them accountability to show up as well as you showing up. You can't be the only one in the room showing up.
Yep. I remember I had an employee had been with me for probably 5 years. She was a junior processor, and she had learned from the best processor that had been with me for 20 plus years. And I kept meeting with her about every 6 months, and I would just check in with her and say, where are you on your journey? Would you ever consider a promotion into a senior processor role? Is that something that you would ever want to do? And I remember her saying, absolutely not. I see the stress that the processor has on them. I want no part of it. I just want to gather insurance and VOEs and do the thing. But I kept asking, and years later, I asked, and she said yes. And she went on to become an incredibly successful processor. And it was because I didn't stop asking and checking in that she finally was ready to realize the potential that I had seen in her all along. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those moments, I think, that reminds us as leaders that just because the answer is no today doesn't mean it's no forever. And it's important that we consider where a person is on their journey and only coach them up when they are ready. Because you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it, right?
Absolutely. So with that being said, what you're saying is my hardest lesson learned, was doing it all myself. We talk about that. Like, how do we do it all ourselves? So it's not our highway, it's our highway, right? How are we going to drive this road together? And as Mo says, if we pick up the hood and we look underneath of it, what's there? So like even our loan officers, we're not afraid to be transparent, to share. If there's another journey out there that's better for them, go be it. But are you asking the right questions? Just like you're shopping for a mortgage, just like you're shopping for a company, just like you're shopping for your new position. The one thing that drives me crazy is when people change companies, they go places, they do different things. Have they asked the right questions of how they're being serviced now to know what they're going to get? And if they don't know how to ask that, then they don't know what you're doing at your company. So the question is like, who's going to do your disclosing? Who's going to do your submissions? Who's going to do your auditing? Who's going to do all these things for you? Who's going to pick up the phone at 11:15 last night and ask about an appraisal waiver? Is that the CEO? Is it the COO? Is it the growth architect? Who is that going to be? And a lot of people think they just really want to belong, but they forget how to really ask the hard questions. And we as leaders have to ask the hard questions back too. Where do you want to go? How do you want to do it? Why do you want to do it this way? And so everything is moldable. It's just a matter of really dialing in to how we can use each other's resources to benefit each other.
Absolutely. So when we talk about coaching, tough conversations are a real thing.
Real thing.
You can give somebody the tools, you can pour your heart and soul and time into them, but sometimes you have to have tough conversations. Somebody made a big mistake, somebody's not showing up for themselves or for the company. How do you approach that in a way that gives the best chance of a positive outcome?
I think a lot of times, and I'm going to say this as woman to woman, is don't mistake our kindness for weakness, right? Because when we go in the office and we shut the door, they understand Deshaun's out here. If I shut the door behind him, he knows we're going to have a talk. I don't care if he's my son. I don't care if we have blood. We're going to have a talk, right? And Dora comes in with her notepad. She's like, oh shit, what's going on? You know, so I think for us is really understanding that you can have that honest conversation, and they also take the critiquing from you, but you take the critiquing back. What did you do wrong? I'm constantly asking them every day, what could I do better? I called Dora. She's been with me for 1.5 years now. How'd you think that meeting went? What could I have done better? What are we doing here? What is going on? What points did we miss? I'm asking her, right? Because I want to see from their view.
Yep.
I don't want to see from my view. I want to see from their view.
And we lose the view as we begin to delegate and bring other leaders in. We don't have the same perspective that we had before. And if you're not also a student, then you're not a good leader. You have to be making yourself better. So whether you're a loan officer, whether you're an owner, whether you're a branch manager, the first thing you need to do, even if your production's not where you want it today, is understand that building a system and a process around yourself and being ready for the inevitable refinance opportunities that will come at some point is really important. If you're not ready, you're gonna miss it. Don't miss it. Don't try to do everything. Have a plan. I know for me, I've had some memorable, difficult conversations over the course of my career. And, you know, I've had tears, I've had screaming and yelling, I've had threats, I've had it all. The only way that I've been able to go home and sleep at night is having set forth the expectations clearly, given the tools, and provided honest feedback along the way. So that when I'm having these conversations, it shouldn't be a surprise. Because the reality is, if somebody's surprised about a tough conversation, that's on you.
Yeah.
Somewhere, somehow, there was a major miss in them understanding what you wanted, or not having the tools to do it, or not feeling safe talking to you about their uncertainty.
Yep. Yep.
So as we wrap up, any final thoughts?
I'd say right now is the time to lean into your community too. Like lean into your resources. There's so many people that in our community that are not gatekeepers. And I think that's when people come over to the broker community and they realize they're like, holy cow, I was at this one company, did it one way for this. and I was told there was nothing that we needed to share or could share. And I'd say everybody in this room is willing to share and be in a position to help each other. And I think that is the greatest gift that we can give each other in the broker community.
We have the most abundant mindset among all of us in this community. There's not a person in this room, including the two of us, that you cannot walk up and ask, how do you do this? We will share everything with you. It is better for us all when we work together to help our people help more people. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
For joining us today.
Thank you, Jaime.
And we will see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.